They thought you'd break. They thought you'd shatter like fragile glass under the weight of the world's laughter. They thought you'd crumble, fold, fade into the backdrop like a forgotten whisper in a storm. They looked at you and saw nothing special. Another name, another face, another dream they could smother before it even learned how to breathe. You felt it, didn't you? The way their eyes dismissed you before you even spoke. The silent judgment, the unspoken insults that dripped from their smirks, their sideways glances, their empty words laced with pity. They never said it out loud, but you heard it anyway. You won't make it, and maybe for a while you believed them. Maybe you let their voices crawl inside your skull, wrapping themselves around your spirit like chains forged from every doubt, every failure, every moment you were made to feel small. You were the outsider, the one they overlooked, the one who didn't fit their mold, the one they refused to bet on. You tried, didn't you? You tried to prove you belonged. You gave them your best, hoping they would finally see you, finally acknowledge you, finally let you in. But they never did, because to them, you were invisible, just another statistic, another name in a sea of forgotten faces. How many times did you sit alone, drowning in the echoes of your own thought? How many nights did you lie awake, staring at the ceiling, suffocating under the weight of your own silence? You wanted to scream, didn't you? To make them hear you, to make them understand that there was more to you than they ever cared. But the world doesn't listen to whisper. It drowns them out with the noise of its favorites, its chosen ones, the ones who already had a seat at the table before the game even started. You weren't given a seat. You weren't even given a chance. They wanted you to quit before you ever got started. They wanted you to stay in the shadow, to accept the role they assigned you, the forgotten, the overlooked, the one who never rises. And maybe for a time, you almost did. Maybe you convinced yourself that they were right, that you weren't built for this, that you weren't meant to be more than what they decided you would be. But something inside you never fully died. Did it? A flicker? A whisper? A quiet defiance buried beneath the weight of all their rejection? Even in your lowest moment, when doubt wrapped its fingers around your throat, there was a part of you that refused to let go, a part of you that still burned, that still hungered, that still wanted more. They thought you'd break. They never saw what was coming. Because the truth is, you were never meant to fade away. You were never meant to be another forgotten name in their story. You were meant to write your own, and that starts now. They laughed at you, not always out loud. Sometimes it was in the way their eyes glossed over you, the way they dismissed your dreams with a half-hearted nod, the way they spoke over you as if your words carried no weight. Other times, it was more direct. The smirks, the whispered conversations just loud enough for you to hear, the advice laced with doubt, disguised as concern. They don't take you seriously. You felt that, didn't you? The sting of being overlooked, the frustration of working twice as hard only to be treated as an afterthought. You walked into rooms where no one acknowledged your presence. You spoke, but your words were swallowed by the noise of people who had already decided you weren't worth listening to. You reached for opportunities, but they slipped through your fingers like sand, always given to someone else, someone they deemed more worthy. You told them your dreams once. You spoke with excitement, with passion, with the fire of someone who saw something greater ahead. And what did they do? They laughed. Maybe not right away. Maybe they waited until you left the room. Maybe they nodded, humoring you with empty encouragement, before turning to each other with knowing glances. They'll never make it, they probably said. They don't have what it takes. You heard them. Even if they never said it out loud, you felt the weight of their doubt pressing against your chest like a slow, crushing force. You saw it in the way they never included you in the conversation, in the way they never asked for your opinion, in the way they excluded you from their plans, as if your presence was irrelevant. And the worst part, a piece of you started to believe them. Because when the world tells you who you are long enough, you start to wonder if they're right. When every door stays closed, when every effort is met with indifference, when every attempt to prove yourself is ignored, it wears on you. It chips away at your confidence, at your belief that you ever had a chance in the first place. You started questioning yourself, didn't you? Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I was stupid to think I could be more. The words of your doubters echoed inside your head, looping on repeat like a cruel, never-ending song. And then came the betrayal. The ones you thought were on your side, the friends who cheered for you in private but doubted you in secret, the people who swore they believed in you until the moment it actually mattered. You saw them support others. You saw them celebrate the ones who were already winning, the ones who never had to fight for a seat at the table. But when it came to you, silent, apathy, distant, you realized something then. The world doesn't just ignore the underdog. It enjoys watching them fail. It feeds off their struggles, turns their pain into entertainment, waits eagerly for them to give up so they can say, "I told you so." And you were supposed to be one of them, just another soul swallowed by the machine of doubt, just another dreamer who learned their place and fell in line with the rest of the forgotten. But something inside you didn't sit right with that, did it? Something inside you refused to accept that this was all you were meant for, because deep down, no matter how many times they ignored you, no matter how many times they laughed at you, no matter how many times you felt like a ghost in your own life, there was a part of you that still burned, a part of you that refused to die, a part of you that knew, with absolute certainty, they're wrong, and one day they will see. And then it started, the war inside your mind. You didn't need their voices anymore. You had memorized their doubts so well that they became your own. Their laughter lived in your head, even when they weren't around. Their skepticism became the poison you swallowed every single day. Maybe they were right. Maybe you weren't special. Maybe you weren't meant to rise. Maybe all this fighting, all this dreaming, all this struggling to be seen was just wasted effort. You started seeing the signs everywhere, the rejection letters, the unanswered calls, the way success seemed to happen for everyone else, everyone but you. It was as if the universe itself had decided you weren't worthy, as if life was trying to send you a message loud and clear. Give up, stop trying, accept your place. And part of you wanted to, because quitting would be easier, wouldn't it? No more expectations, no more exhausting effort, no more waking up every morning just to fight a battle you kept losing. The thoughts crept in like shadows in the night, slow and suffocating. What if I'm just not enough? You heard it when you looked in the mirror, when your reflection stared back at you with tired eyes, with a face that no longer held the fire it once did. You felt it in your bone, in the weight pressing against your chest, in the slow, creeping numbness that threatened to consume you whole. You started questioning everything, the sacrifices you made, the dreams you held on to, the years spent trying to prove yourself. What was it all for? Did any of it even matter? And the worst part? You convinced yourself that nobody would care if you stopped, that if you disappeared, if you walked away, if you faded into the background like they always expected you to, the world would keep turning untouched, unchanged. So why keep going? Why wake up every morning just to fight a battle that felt impossible to win? Why hold on to a dream when it felt like life itself was trying to rip it away from you? The temptation was there, the pull of surrender, the idea of letting go, of slipping into the comfort of mediocrity, of finally silencing the war inside your head by simply stopping. And for a moment, you almost did. For a moment, you stood on the edge of giving up. One step, and it would all be over. The pain, the struggle, the endless fight to be more. One step, and you could sink into the life they always expected you to live. Small, silent, forgotten. But then, something happened. Something deep inside you. Something buried beneath the exhaustion, beneath the doubt, beneath the weight of every whispered insecurity. You felt it. A flicker, a whisper, a single, undeniable truth, cutting through the noise like a blade. You are not done. Not yet. Not like this. Not when there's still fire left in you, no matter how dim it may seem. Because this war in your mind, this battle between doubt and belief, between surrender and resistance, between fading away and rising from the ashes, this is not where your story ends. This is where it begins. And then came the breaking point. The moment where everything in you screamed for an end. Not just an end to the struggle, but an end to you. To the version of yourself that still had hope, that still had fight left in it. You had already been battered, already been beaten down by the weight of your failures, already spent too many nights lying awake, staring at the ceiling, asking the universe, why? Why is it that no matter how hard you try, you never seem to move forward? Why is it that while others rise, you stay stuck in place, as if the world itself is holding you down, keeping you from breathing, from moving, from becoming more? You've watched people with half your effort, half your hunger, half your pain. You've seen doors swing open for people who never had to break themselves just to find a key. You've witnessed success come so easily to others, while you stand in the same damn place, year after year, clawing at walls that never seem to break. And the worst part? No one sees it. No one sees how hard you've fought, how much you've endured, how many times you've picked yourself up only to be knocked right back down. To them, you're just another face in the crowd, another story that never mattered, another voice drowned out by the noise of those who have already made it. You felt like a ghost in your own life, invisible, weightless, trapped between the world you dreamed of and the reality that refused to bend in your favor. You walked through days that felt like an endless loop, a repeating cycle of disappointment, of effort met with silence, of hope met with nothingness. And that's when the thoughts started, the ones that whispered, "What's the point?" The ones that told you to stop trying, to stop caring, to stop hoping for something that was never meant for you. You almost listened, you almost let go, because at some point, the pain of wanting more but never getting it becomes unbearable. At some point, you get so tired of fighting, of clawing, of believing in something that never seems to come true, that you start to wonder if surrender is the only real option. You stood at the edge. Maybe not a physical edge, but an edge nonetheless. The edge of quitting. The edge of becoming exactly what they always expected you to be. Nothing, but something inside you refused. Something inside you, buried beneath the wreckage of all your failures, all your disappointments, all the nights you spent convincing yourself you weren't enough. It still lived, a fire, a hunger, a rage. And in that moment, at your lowest, when the world was ready to count you out for good, you had a choice. Stay buried or rise, stay forgotten or become undeniable, stay silent or let the world hear your name and never forget it again. Because this is your breaking point, but it won't be the end of you. It will be the moment that makes you. And then something shifted, a crack in the darkness, a flicker in the void, a small, almost imperceptible ember buried beneath the ashes of everything you thought you lost. Something inside you refused to die. At first it was just a whisper, a quiet voice, barely audible over the noise of your doubt, your exhaustion, your frustration, but it was there, persistent, unyielding, a single, undeniable truth rising through the wreckage. You are not done. The anger was still there, the pain, the rejection, the years of being ignored. It still burned inside you. But for the first time, it wasn't just anger at the world. It wasn't just resentment toward the ones who overlooked you. It was power, a raw, untapped force waking up inside of you, demanding to be heard, demanding to be unleashed. Because suddenly the question wasn't why me anymore. It wasn't why do they doubt me, or why do they refuse to see me. The question became, why the hell did I ever believe them? Why did I let their doubt become my truth? Why did I let their opinions shape my destiny? Why did I allow myself to shrink, to fade, to become less than I was born to be, just to fit into a world that never cared about me in the first place. And with that realization, the war inside you shifted. Doubt still lingered, whispering its poison, trying to keep its hold on you. But now, something fought back. Something that had been waiting for this moment. Resilience. The part of you that never fully gave up. The part of you that survived the laughter, the rejection, the silence. The part of you that had been screaming from the beginning, waiting for you to wake up. This wasn't the end. It was never the end. This was the beginning of something unstoppable. Because for the first time in your life, you saw it clearly. You are more than they see. And now, it was time to become it. And so it began. Not with a grand gesture, not with an explosion of triumph, but with something small. A decision. A single, defiant step forward. At first it felt insignificant. Just another day. Just another effort. Just another attempt to push back against the weight of doubt. But this time, something was different. This time, you weren't moving out of desperation. You weren't seeking validation. You weren't begging to be seen. You were claiming your space. The first rebellion wasn't loud. It wasn't celebrated. No one noticed when you chose to get up instead of staying buried under the weight of failure. No one clapped when you decided to try again. When you pushed forward despite the exhaustion. Despite the voice in your head still whispering that it was all pointless. But you noticed. You felt the shift, the slow, steady ignition of something real, the first signs of transformation. The world didn't change overnight, but your yuk did. One step forward, one more refusal to quit, one more moment where you chose resilience over surrender. And with every small victory, every little act of defiance, it became clearer. They were wrong about you. Each step forward was a slap in their faces. Every time you refused to stay down, you shattered the expectations they placed on you. Every time you kept moving, you made it harder for them to pretend you didn't exist because something was happening. They couldn't see it yet, but soon they would. And then you learned something they never wanted you to know. Pain is not your enemy. It was never here to break you. It was here to build you. Every wound, every scar, every insult carved into your soul wasn't a mark of defeat. It was proof that you endured, proof that you refused to disappear, proof that no matter how many times they tried to bury you, you rose anyway. At first, pain felt like punishment, like the universe was testing you, pushing you to your limits just to see how much you could take before you shattered. But now you understood. Pain is fuel. Every failure, a lesson. Every rejection, a sharpening of your blade. Every setback, a test of your endurance. You stopped running from it. You stopped fearing it. You let it in. You let it burn through you, refining you, hardening you, turning you into something they could never break again. Because the truth is, suffering is the price of greatness. No one who ever became unstoppable did so without fire. No one who ever left a mark on this world did so without bleeding for it. And now, you weren't just surviving the pain. You were thriving in it. Every scar, every wound, every moment of doubt, you wore them like armor, not as reminders of your suffering, but as evidence of your transformation. They tried to destroy you. Instead, they made you fireproof. And then came the moment of truth. You stood before the mirror, staring into the eyes of someone you barely recognized. For years, you carried the weight of their words, their doubts, their expectations. You let them define you. You let them decide your worth, your potential, your place in this world. But now, the reflection staring back at you demanded an answer. Who the hell are you? Are you the weak, broken version they created? The person they dismissed? The dreamer they mocked? The failure they expected? Or are you something else? Something, greater? You feel it now. That fire, that hunger, that undeniable truth pulsing beneath your skin. You are not as who they said you were. You are not the person they tried to break. You are the ghost they ignored. You are the storm they never saw coming. And in that moment, in that quiet, electrifying moment. You decide. You are done living under their expectations, done being small, done allowing doubt to write your story. This is your rebirth, the moment you stop being a victim and start being a force. Because from this day forward, you are the one who decides who you become. And then without warning, you started moving differently. Not just in your mind, not just in your dream, in reality. The shifts were small at first, a change in the way you walked, in the way you carried yourself, a sharpness in your eyes, a quiet power in your presence. You weren't just talking about change anymore. You were becoming it. They saw it. Oh, they saw it. But they didn't believe it yet. They noticed you rising, but they still doubted, still whispered, still convinced themselves it was temporary, that you'd slip back into the version of yourself they were comfortable with. Let them doubt. Let them watch. Because what they don't realize, what they refuse to accept, is that the person they once dismissed no longer exists. You are becoming something unrecognizable, and soon they won't just see it. They'll have no choice but to believe it. And now there is no turning back. You have tasted what it means to fight for yourself, to push past the limits they set for you, to become something they never saw coming. And now you want more. But here's the truth they never tell you. Greatness is lonely. When you decide to rise, you leave people behind. The ones who never believed in you. The ones who only supported you when you were small, when you were safe, when you weren't a threat. They will not understand this version of you. They will say you've changed, and they'll be right. Because while they sleep, you grind. While they relax, you sharpen. While they waste time, you build the future they said you'd never have. There is no mercy in this pursuit, no slowing down, no seeking approval, no waiting for them to recognize your worth. This is about obsession, about becoming so undeniable, so relentless, that they are forced to acknowledge you. And when that day comes, it won't be you asking for their recognition. It will be them begging to understand how you did it. And then it happens, the shift, the moment the world feels your presence, not as a whisper, not as an afterthought, but as a force that can no longer be denied. At first they try to ignore it. They pretend you're the same, that nothing has changed. But deep down, they know. You move differently now. You speak with conviction. You act with purpose. You no longer seek permission. You take what you once begged for. And then the victories come. The first undeniable signs that you are no longer who they thought you were. The doors that once slammed in your face now creak open. Not because they want to let you in, but because they fear what happens if they don't. They underestimated you. They counted you out. But now, they feel you. Your presence rattles them. Your rise threatens them. You are becoming the monster they fear, the one who refuses to be controlled, silenced, or stopped. And the best part? You're just getting started. And then, just when you think you've broken through, it comes for you, one last time. The final test, the last gatekeeper standing between you and everything you fought for. It doesn't come from them, not from the doubters, the naysayers, the ones who tried to break you. It comes from within, a voice, familiar, insidious, self-doubt's final attack. Are you sure you deserve this? What if you fail again? What if this was all just luck? Because that's what fear does. It waits, it watches, it lingers in the shadows, waiting for the moment you are closest to victory, and then it strikes. This is the last war, the last enemy, the last version of yourself that still clings to the past, that still questions if you are worthy of the life you are about to claim. And now, the choice is yours. Do you let this final whisper drag you back into the darkness? Or do you bun and crush it beneath your heel and step into the world as the unstoppable force you were born to be? This is the climax, the moment of absolute truth. No more hesitation, no more questioning. The old Ubas dies here, and in its place, something unstoppable is born. And then, without warning, everything changes. The same people who once laughed at you, they watch in silence now. The ones who mocked your struggle, who dismissed your dreams, who swore you'd never make it, they look at you differently. They whisper your name now. They analyze your every move. They try to understand how the person they once ignored has become unshakable, undeniable, unstoppable. But they already know the answer. You didn't just rise. You became something else. They see it in your eyes. The hunger, the fire, the relentless, unapologetic force that refuses to bow, refuses to break, refuses to go back to the shadows. And now they can't deny it anymore. You are that everything they said you'd never be. And the best part? They have no choice but to watch you dominate. And then the final realization hits you like thunder. You never needed their approval. Not then, not now, not ever. Every ounce of pain you carried, every sleepless night, every battle you fought, none of it was for them. You never needed their validation. You never needed their permission. You never needed their belief in you to become who you are now. You did this. You built this. You earned this. And now, you owe them nothing. Not an explanation. Not an apology. Not a single damn second of your energy. Because you aren't the underdog anymore. You aren't the forgotten, the overlooked, the underestimated. You are the competition now. The one they fear. The one they study. The one they can't outrun. And as you stand here, staring at the life you carved from stone, there's only one thing left to do. Take everything they said you couldn't have. And now, you stand where you were always meant to be. Not because they let you. Not because they finally saw your worth. Not because the world suddenly became fair. Because you took it. Every battle, every scar, every moment you wanted to quit but didn't. It led you here. And now, there is no hesitation, no fear, no doubt. You don't ask for a seat at the table. You build your own. You don't wait for permission. You move because you decide to. You don't shrink to make them comfortable. You take up space and dare them to adjust. This isn't just success. This isn't just redemption. This is your era. They thought you'd fade away. They thought you'd disappear, crumble, surrender. Now they watch in silence. Because the throne was always yours. And now, you're here to claim it. And now, the final chapter, the last word. The moment where everything you fought for, everything you've endured, becomes something bigger than you. Because this isn't just about your rise. This isn't just about proving them wrong. This isn't just about standing at the top and looking down at the ones who doubted you. This is about the ones still in the dark, the ones who feel invisible, the ones who are drowning in doubt, the ones who are where you once were, lost, broken, screaming into the void, waiting for someone to tell them they are worth more. Now, you are that voice. Because the truth is, someone out there is watching you, studying you, looking at your journey and asking themselves the same question you once did. Can I rise too? And the answer? Yes. But here's the real question, the one that will haunt them long after these words fade. What will you do with this fire?